Cari fratelli e sorelle, and welcome to my weekly video blog. The whole political situation of the entire planet seems to have moved this past week. In the US, as you know, the general election for presidential candidate is going along there, and the two people who are basically the nominations, the Republicans, you've got Donald Trump, and for the Democrats you have Hillary Clinton. Now, Bernie Sanders was the socialist guy-ish. I say that socialist with a small s when I'm talking about American politics, but centre-left, so to speak, who made a big hoo-ha during his campaign for nomination about how corrupt the Clintons were and how establishment they were, has come out now that he can't run himself and endorsed her. Fancy that. Meanwhile, Donald Trump has revealed who his running mate is going to be, presumably for vice president. And do you know, nobody seems to know who that person is. We're none the wiser, especially if you're international none the wiser. So who knows? The British government has changed completely. The two women were ready to go out to the vote for the Conservative Party leader, and that vote was going to be taken place across the country by every member of the public who was a card-carrying member, and that was going to take a couple of months. However, on the eve of battle, the candidate who we didn't know very much about, and the one who basically had voted out in the what's going on down here? There we are. In the referendum, backed out. Said she wasn't going to do it. Withdrew, leaving, of course, only Theresa May as being there, and so of course she was naturally declared the winner by default. No need therefore to vote, and she became Prime Minister overnight, meaning that David Cameron, there was nothing stopping David Cameron then from literally saying, right, so I'll go then. So, you know, this all happened on Tuesday, and on Wednesday he had his last Prime Minister's questions. Then he went to the palace and said, I don't want to do this anymore, why don't you ask Theresa May? And the Queen said, OK. Next thing you know, Theresa May is forming her cabinet. Gove, the dangerous sort of nationalist, in my opinion, has gone, you should be happy to know. Hunt, who a lot of people have issues with, he's like the pervasive bad smell in the cabinet room. He's still there. I don't know which department he's shifted to now. Some of these cabinet positions are a little bit like, you don't actually need to know very much about the job to do it. It's really just like you are in charge of a department. So, for example, Treasury would be one, Defence would be one, Justice would be one, Health and Education. Those five particularly, leaders tend to swap them around from one to the other, and they're so completely different that obviously what you really just need is to have had cabinet experience before, and then you can, you know, be safely put into one of these positions. I think she moved somebody who had been doing defence or something into the Treasury. I mean, it doesn't make any sense if you think about skills needed, you know, so I imagine it's sort of like an overview, whereas if you are, I suppose, less, your area is more maybe more changing, I suppose, less based on maintaining protocol, things like energy or trade or something like that, you would obviously have to actually know what you were doing as a minister to sort of run that department. And then there are the departments that are basically secretarial positions that are basically extensions of the Prime Minister towards either the homeland or towards everywhere abroad. You know, they are the Home Secretary and the Foreign Secretary. And Boris is back. She has put him in the position of Foreign Secretary, which is highly important. It means that, you know, he is like, I suppose, the official government ambassador on all things foreign policy. He isn't the Brexit guy. They've actually created a post. Usually they have one minister without portfolio, and this minister has a portfolio, and his portfolio is Europe and Brexit. But obviously we don't know much about him, or I don't know much about him, you know. So I think Boris is going to help him on that one, really. And that's probably why Theresa May has done it. And fair enough. I mean, you know, to me, it's still a bit like, you know, he didn't want to take the plunge, did he? He didn't want to be the person to press the button. You know, it's only been a week and she hasn't done it yet. But she did say that Brexit means Brexit, so one presumes that she will after recess. And when they have their party conventions, when she was due to take over anyway, she will sort of get on with it. But we'll have to see. We'll have to see. She hasn't even had her first Prime Minister's questions yet, so who knows? You know, there have also been some tragedies this week as well. In France, in the city of Nice, they were celebrating Bastille Day with a fantastic fireworks display when some idiot driving a truck decided that he would drive at high speed and ram it into the promenade or whatever where they all were enjoying themselves, managed to kill in the region of about 70 people, injure a further 50, several were children, and several were sort of tourists. Obviously police killed him, but it was a bit too little too late, wasn't it? So France, which has never really come off a state of emergency since that shooting of that cartoonist, and then there was the attacks in Paris, and now there's the attacks in Nice. And of course the problem with that is that it's, you know, it's one thing to be able to stop an attack like Paris, and one does have to ask, are the French security forces worth much? Because they do seem to have an issue. However, this particular issue, it couldn't really have been avoided. You know, there's no real way that you can stop somebody from, you know, driving down a road and deciding that he's going to pull off and go, you know, and kill a few people with his big truck or whatever. We do have Islamic State saying, oh, it was us, it was us, it was us, but who knows, to be totally honest. You know, that one is not, that one could be just them doing a propaganda thing. I'm not sure there's any particular terroristic links in that respect, but it was certainly an act of terrorism, and so France is in mourning again. Brussels escaped lightly as well. There was an arson attack the night before that, before the French attacks, when a campaign, a sort of protest against the trade relations that are going on at the moment between the US and the EU went sour, and things got burnt in front of the European Parliament building there. And then, of course, there was Turkey. Turkey, which has only just recovered from the bombing of an airport. Two major cities, Ankara and Istanbul in Turkey, fell last night, unbelievably, to a small faction, about 3,000 I think, a small faction within the military that decided it was going to stage a coup when the president was out of town. It was hairy for a while. Bridges were closed, curfews were enforced, and people died in the clamour of this attempt to take over the Turkish state. But we're led to believe that it ultimately failed. how stable Turkey is unknown. I mean, it must have been unstable to begin with, because it was the stopgap between Europe and the flow of migrants, and I don't think that this is going to help Turkey persuade the European Union that they would be a good addition to the membership. I really think they are going to struggle there. So, you know, there's been several issues. I've probably forgotten several other issues in the news this week. It's been tumultuous, basically. As for me, my plantar fasciitis is playing up again, and I think it's playing up because I'm doing the exercises. I am not sure about this at all. But at the moment, at least, I'm still walking, and I'm not limping. It hurts, but, you know, I've got time, and I plan on using that time to do what I'm told by the doctors, and then in the middle of August I will probably go back to them, because I don't think this is going to be over by then at all. And that's really about it, except to say that this week's focus is going to be sorting out the terrace garden. I'm digging up what I want to keep, and I am weed killering the rest of it, except for the top terrace, which I can just weed and keep, because that's pretty much sort of self-maintained now. And then we are going to cover it in fake turf, in fact, and then just cut out the bits of turf as we plant to stop the weeds. We're using it as a weed suppressant. So that's our focus for this next week. This will also be the last week that I get to go to do a proper sweep of the garden centres for planting at the allotment for summer harvest, because the early harvest has already started. It is now almost too late to plant anything that's going to grow and give us fruit in the next sort of 2 or 3 months. So it's time to check the stores for the last time. I like to do the main nurseries. So you've got the one Daleside in Killinghall. You've got Crimple Hall, which is down Leeds Road towards Pannell. And you've got the Moreland Nurseries, which is sort of between Starbeck and Knaresborough. It's sort of near Calcutta. You've also got B&Q and Homebase, which are good for plants and seeds. I like to use Growthers as well, which is in town. And of course you've got the other supermarkets. We've got Sainsbury's, Asda, Morrison's. All of them have little plant areas which are worth looking at. So it'll be my last sort of go around there. I definitely want to try and find some purple kohlrabi, some swede and some turnips. Those are my main sort of focus. Beyond that, it's sort of anything else, I guess, to use it up. And then we stop. We stop and we don't start looking again until about September, when we're not looking for much, but that will be for winter veg then. We've had quite a long blog, and yet, you know, there hasn't been that much to report, has there? So let us finish with the birthdays. Right, so we have got several birthdays this next week, including Tom Bryden, Andy Toft, John Rowntree, Manazza Zahir, who I used to know at university, and Lee Benson, who, in fact, I only met last week. But you know, once a friend, once you're connected to me on Facebook, you are as valued as any other. And so I wish them all a happy birthday. I hope you get many happy returns and eat lots of cake. And I shall see everybody else next time.